What's up, YouTube? Tenchi Arizonia, the angry Dracolope of the Jackalope crew here. And yes, I'm out by my campfire still, by my wood stove to be more accurate. And I have a bit of a story time for you now. It's not a spooky one today. It's actually more of an entertaining one. Actually something that happened on one of my camping trips with my friend that I mentioned in the last video. And this again was when we were going up there to help one of the farmers that his godmother knew out with a bit of pest control, meaning rabbits and pigeons. Well, on this occasion I'd got a new air rifle. Nothing fancy, to be honest. It was a second-hand BSA Meteor, in fact. Good air rifle back in the day. And for anyone who's an air gunner today, or was an air gunner in the past, you will probably know the BSA Meteor. And yeah, it's a very good air rifle. And what happened is me and my friend went on our regular hunts again, and this happened on the first morning. And we'd just come back, and he still had a pellet in the chamber of his air rifle. So what happened, me and him are walking back up the hill, and he tripped and accidentally, or more accurately, negligently discharged the weapon. Well, when that happened, the pellet went straight into the toe cap of my boot. So yeah, he literally shot me in the foot. Kind of funny looking back on it, actually. And it was even funny then, because fortunately I was wearing steel toe-capped boots, and it went straight into the toe cap. No injury to me. At the time I was a little bit shocked, I will admit, but once we got back to camp, which at that time we were actually camping on the far side of his godmother's piece of land. Once we got back to camp and started cooking up breakfast, we had a good fucking laugh about it. And honestly, I still have good laughs about it today. It was just one of those things that turned out to be really fucking funny. And this same trip actually, something else happened that wasn't so funny. In fact, it was the complete opposite of funny. And this was about 2-3 days into our trip. We were up there for, I think, 10 days at the time. And this was like the second or third day. And he decided that we should go to this farmer who lived in a valley. Well, that wasn't an issue, to be honest. We got to the farm okay, and done our rabbit hunting okay, and the farmer even let us hunt a few pheasants on his land, so that was fun. No, the incident came when we were again on our way back to camp, because he decided he wanted to take a shortcut through this fenced off piece of land. This fenced off piece of land, we found out why it was fenced off. It ended up being boglands. And I went fucking knee-high into the damn bog because, yeah, we weren't paying attention where we were walking. I missed the edge of a, what do you call them, a hillock, whatever they're fucking called, those little tufts you have in bogs. I went, stepped straight off the edge of one of those, up to my knee in stinky, rancid bog water. I was not impressed. And that was just the most basic thing that happened that day. Not too funny, not on my end anyway. He was absolutely pissing himself laughing. So later in the camping trip, I decided I was going to get my own back on him, and this was about halfway through our camping trip that I got my own back on him. And some of you know what's going to happen, the rest of you don't. So again, me and him decided to go down to another farmer's piece of land. This particular farmer actually had a piece of water on his land, a lake, which he stocked with trout. So we went to his house, asked him permission, to his farmhouse I should add, asked him permission to fish on his lake, which he gave. And we ended up fishing on that lake for most of that day, to be honest. Most of that day. It was really fun, I will say that. It was a really fun bit of fishing. First time I'd ever tried fly fishing. And again, something happened. Not spooky, just one of those things. I'm sure you can guess what happened because it was my first time fly fishing. And if you've ever seen The Mummy Returns with Brendan Fraser, you will know exactly what happened. That's right. I went to cast out the fly and I got caught in the back of the neck with the fly I was using. That really stung, I'll tell you that. It wasn't at all funny at the time. It really fucking hurt, I'll tell you that, guys. Really hurt. But me and my friend laughed it off eventually and continued fishing. As I was going throughout the day, I was getting better and better at casting. And at the end of the day, we bagged 10, 20 trout. And as we were only there a few more days at that point, because as I said, this was halfway through the trip, maybe a little over halfway, we took some of the trout to the farmer. So we had 10, 20 trout. We gave him half, we kept the other half for ourselves for cooking at our campfire. Because this was a time before I'd really got into preparedness. I didn't really know about camp stoves and stuff like that. And yeah, I just used whatever I had access to. In this case, it was just a campfire. So yeah. Let me tell you guys, cooking trout on a campfire that you didn't do a particularly good job setting up, it's not easy. I was just knocking a bit of firewood down there. It is not easy at all. And the first trout we tried to cook, we burnt it to ash. We burnt that mother to ash. We left it in the campfire too long, didn't use enough foil to wrap it. Now, I did have foil in my backpack, I don't know why, because I wasn't anticipating us having to cook any trout or anything. So, I don't know why I had tin foil, I just did. And anyway, cue the following day. This is where it comes into the bit me getting some payback about him laughing about me falling in the bog. We went back to the same farmer who let us fish on his land, and we done a bit more fishing on his land. We stayed at his place for lunch. Very nice lunch, actually. His wife was a very, very good cook, and he wasn't a half bad cook himself, to be honest. Well, when we left, I decided we were going to go back, not the way we came, but cross country. And, well, I was walking ahead of him, and across one piece of land that we had to cross to get back to our campsite, I noticed a little sign denoting an electric fence. I'm sure you can guess what happened. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway. So, he's behind me quite a way, so I stand in front of this sign, so he can't see it. He just, at this point, all he can see is the wires. Because where I'm standing is where the post is, where the signs are, and where the little ceramic things that the wires attached to are. So he can't see any of that. So he gets up to me, I go, right, we've got two choices. We can either hang a left and backtrack to the road. And bear in mind, we could see his godmother's land from where we were. It was like the next guy over from where she was. I said, we can hang left, go back to the road and follow the road back to camp, or we can cut over this fence. It's not a very high fence, I'm sure it won't be hard to get over. Well, it wasn't hard to get over, but it was bloody entertaining. Because He went, oh, we'll just cut across the land. Hand straight on the fence, and he immediately yanked it back. And you can guess why, because he got an electric shock. Not enough to do any serious injury, but it was rather bloody funny. Ah, crap. The fire's gone out. Let's hope I can get it back. Ah, there we go. Don't need to it, done. It's on its own. Got to love little wood stoves like this. They reignite pretty damn easily. So yeah, he got a massive shock from this fence. I thought it was bloody hilarious. He didn't think so at the time, but once we got back to camp, we both had a laugh about it. And he said that it was the best prank I ever pulled on him. Well, I don't know about that. I pulled some pretty good ones on him after that. But he always said that that was the best prank I ever pulled. And yeah, I am looking down at the fire here. I'm trying to keep it going nice and strong, which isn't too easy because it is a bit windy out here. So yeah, he got a massive shock from this electric fence, and his arm that he grabbed the fence with, his right arm, was numb for the rest of the day. He could not feel it till like the following morning. But he thought it was hilarious. Not at the time, not at the immediate time he'd done it, but about half an hour to an hour afterwards, once we got back to camp, he thought it was fucking hilarious. And honestly, I have to agree. It was bloody hilarious. So, after this, we decided, yeah, we're going to look out for each other properly, because otherwise we're just going to be one-upping each other with pranks. So for the last couple of days that we were at camp, last 3-4 days, things went on as normal. We went to the farmer's land who had the lake, fished a little bit, threw the fish back, went to one of the other farmers, pest controlling rabbits, pigeons with our air rifles. Me with my BSA Meteor, him with a cheap Chinese no-name rifle. Of note, he had a scope on his rifle. I never used a scope on mine. And the last day we were there, one of the professional pest control guys for this farmer arrived, started spitting shit. You know, like, oh yeah, I'm the best. I'm like, I've never missed a shot. I'm like, yeah, it's this kind of guy, eh? And quite honestly, both him and my friend were using scopes. He was using a 22 rimfire rifle. My friend, obviously, with his scoped 22 caliber air rifle. And me with a 22 caliber air rifle, BSA Meteor, no scope, just standard irons. And the farmer gave us a challenge. And quite honestly, this was the sort of challenge I could not turn down. Whoever shot the most pigeons that day, because we're going to end up on pigeon detail, because the rabbit hunts don't happen till the evening or the very early morning. This was a day hunt. Whoever bagged the most pigeons would get £200. For those wondering, at the time, that would have been roughly $300. $300 just for shooting some pigeons. Damn. Challenge accepted. So throughout most of the day, I was keeping up steady pace with the other guys, my friend and this so-called pest control guy, who was a so-called professional. And about half an hour before this challenge was ending, I noticed that the so-called pro was missing a lot of shots, and my friend was also missing a lot of shots. At this point, I hadn't missed a single damn shot. I'd been shooting for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours at this point. I was running low on ammo, quite honestly. I only had about half a tin when I arrived, so 250 rounds because they came in 500 round tins. And at this point I had half a tin left, and I was ripping through that tin as fast as you like. Just a little break the action, pellet in, action back up, shoot. Really good fun. As I said, I was level pegging with the other guys. Shouldn't be too surprising. I was always good with a gun, be it an air gun or otherwise. So yeah, I was keeping up with the guys quite well. And as soon as I saw they would start missing shots, I just kept on going. Till I heard the distinctive ping of ammunition running out. And I got a cat on the fence behind me. So I heard him run out of ammunition. He didn't have any spare ammo, only the mags he brought, which, being a 2.2 rimfire, he had 5 or 10 mags of 25, and the one in his rifle. So he runs out of ammo, so I'm just pegging it with my friend now. It's just me and my friend out there shooting away, trying our best to outdo each other. Let me just put this piece of wood in, because the fire's burning a bit low. Oops. Oopsies. That's not good. That ain't good. Excuse me, guys. Oh, crap. I knocked my pot holder off, which was kind of holding my fuel in place. Well, I was down to my last 10 rounds. My friend was down to his last 3, I think. He didn't bring as much ammunition as me, which was foolish on his part. He missed his last 3 shots. So, he's out of the game. I bagged maybe 275, 235 pigeons at this point, because I hadn't missed a single shot all day. And yeah, basically I won the little competition we were having. And yeah, the farmer kept to his end. I ended up walking away with the $300. And I'm sticking to dollars because it's just easier for most of my viewers, because most of my viewers are Americans. So yeah, I won that event, that little challenge. Chuffed. Really chuffed, actually. That was a good day. Now, the going rate at the time for a day's hunt like that, the going rate you'd get paid, should I say, regardless of how many pigeons you bagged, was about £125, about $150, $175 ish, something around that. So, walking away with $300 for the day, big win. So I collected my winnings. We went straight back to camp, and basically the last 2 days we were there, because this was about the 3rd day before we were due to leave, the last 2 days we were there, we just relaxed, sat by the campfire, done a bit of whittling, occasionally went down to the lake again just to see how things were. Yeah, it was a really good time. Sadly, as all things go, me and that friend eventually fell out and lost contact with each other. As I said, sadly, this kind of thing does happen. And it honestly wasn't great. But, yeah, nothing you can do about it. People drift apart, it happens. And the main fact for that was because he moved to a different area. And then he got offered a job which required him to move further away to point that I could not travel to visit him. It just wasn't financially viable. So we eventually lost contact. And yeah, I was really down at the time. And this actually, this was back when I was a teenager, so yeah, a long time ago. But I still remember those times fondly. And quite honestly, if I could go back and do it all again, I would probably do everything exactly the same. Minus going knee deep into a bog. That wasn't fun. It's funny looking back on it. It was not fun at the time. Not in the least. But yeah, that's pretty much the meat of the story. Though there is a bit of an afterthought to it, which was about 5 years after the last time I went up there. I had made a couple of new friends. One of them had severe depression. Very, very severe depression. And we were going to go camping. Well, we had planned to go camping. Unfortunately, for those involved, the camping trip didn't end up happening because of a rather depressing event that happened, which was the suicide of my new friend who I was going to go camping with. And I was going to go camping with her and her brother. So, yeah, that camping trip never happened. Instead, the weekend that was supposed to be the camping trip, this was about 2001, the weekend that was going to be a camping trip, instead I ended up going to a funeral. Probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do, to be honest, even to this day. But it's one of those things, I guess. Not everyone can handle depression. And although they committed suicide, I don't hold it against them. I don't really think they were a weak person. I just think they'd been through so much and they just couldn't deal, basically. There's only so much a person can take before they break entirely. Unfortunately, I can't say that was my first experience with a suicide, because I actually experienced a suicide when I was at school. One of my classmates. I lived in a partial boarding school at the time. Or should I say I went to a partial boarding school. We basically stayed there Monday night through Thursday night, went home on Friday for the weekend. Well, on the Friday morning of the last year I was there, so 1999, the last year I was there, one of my classmates was found dead in his domicile, his room, having hung himself with a belt. Now, nobody knew that this kid was suicidal. We knew he suffered from depression. The staff knew he suffered from depression, but no one knew how bad. No one thought he would commit suicide. Clearly, they were very, very wrong. And yeah, it's kind of going off onto a tangent, but these kind of things happen. It's not good when they do. It's upsetting when they do happen. Especially when they happen to people that you know. But those are the breaks, I guess. Now, I still do enjoy outdoor stuff, obviously. And actually, to be honest, most of the friends I've had have shared some aspect of that, be it fishing. Even the classmate who committed suicide, he was an avid fisherman. He loved fishing on the local rivers. The friend in later years, as we both know, I was going to go on a camping trip with, as we all know. I mentioned that just a minute ago. And pretty much growing up, most of my friends shared my hobbies: shooting, camping, fishing, hunting. But yeah, the one who I used to go to his godmother's piece of land with, the one who ended up committing suicide before we could go on a camping trip, and the classmate stick out the most, because the classmate I'd actually been fishing with, and point of fact, a friend I used to go camping with, I also went fishing with. I went fishing to a spot called Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight. And the friend who committed suicide in the later years, thank you for collapsing fuel. Friend who committed suicide in the later years, we had actually planned that camping trip for a very long time. We were supposed to be going camping to a region that I'd not been to before, still in my home area, so the Wiltshire, Dorset, Hampshire area. But as I said, that never went off because of their suicide. Instead, I ended up going to their funeral. So that's pretty much the end of the story time. Sorry I went off on a rambly tangent here at the end, but I thought it would be good to kind of clear the air of those things, as they've been on my mind quite a bit lately, to be honest. And anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the story time. This time I didn't run out of fuel, although I did have a snafu with my with the top of my stove coming off. That was just carelessness on my part. I wasn't careful when I was adjusting my fuel. Anyway, that's all for now. If you like it, please subscribe, comment, and share. And remember, be good to each other.
I'm a Dracolope, bitch.